What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today I'm going to talk about this final preseason game, some of the things I saw, some of the things that happened, and also some of the players of note that made plays and some that didn't make plays. So let's start off with, let's start from the top. Sam Howell. Sam Howell seems to be really comfortable in this offense, and it's one of those things where you're starting to see that as he's playing and everything, he's getting more and more comfortable. Now, I'm not one to be sitting here saying that he's ready, because he definitely needs more bacon. He needs time to get comfortable, be somebody that is able to understand what's going on, and at the same time make sure that the speed of the game has now slowed down. I will say this, that I do think that Sam Howell within either next year or the year after will in fact be ready to take over the starting quarterback position. I mean, he seems to have a very good grasp of the offense, and it's something to look at. I mean, you see that he's a guy that has an arm, and at the same time he has a tenacity about himself that he goes and tries to get the extra yardage. Now, I would like for his on-field intelligence to build up a little bit more. There were times where he should have thrown the ball out of bounds, but instead he took hits. So that is an area where I think he needs to grow his on-field intelligence. And once he grows there, it's going to be something that is very great for him. And like I said, again, I feel that as he keeps baking, and once he's finished baking, he will in fact be ready to take over the starting position for the Washington franchise. Next, his former teammate Dyami Brown dropped some balls, and I'm gonna go a little bit on a kind of slight tangent a little bit about Dyami Brown and everything like that, and where I think Ron has failed the most in regards to this team. A lot of people may not want to give him may not want to say this about him, but Ron has failed in the wide receiver confidence building category. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, you know, they're players, they should go out there. But you got to understand that he's had, if you really think about it, a lot of the wide receivers that could have been great here ended up not being great here. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that Ron hasn't emphasized the fact of utilizing or using them. You know, when Ron first got here, we had a trio that we thought was actually pretty good. You know, it was Terry McLaurin, Kelvin Harmon, and Steven Sims Jr., along with Cam Sims. We felt we had a group of guys that was really good. Ron comes in, and the first thing he does is insult the entire group by saying he needs a big wide receiver here, and then right after that goes right after Amari Cooper. You know, so he insulted not only Terry, but Steven Sims Jr., Cam Sims, and also Kelvin Harmon. Then Kelvin Harmon gets hurt, and he doesn't get the opportunity to come back immediately. He goes out there, he drafts Gandy Golden, again, another failed wide receiver. Steven Sims didn't get the opportunity to correct what was going on, and he was jettisoned out of here. You're talking about there's a lot of guys that have failed under Ron, and to me it seems like Ron is not getting the most out of the wide receiver group due to the fact that he's not encouraging them enough, or even trying to get Scott to understand more on why these guys are not doing as well as they should. I mean, again, here we are. De'Ami Brown is the next one in line that seems to be failing at this point. How many of y'all remember Isaiah Wright? I mean, he was another one. You know, I mean, it was so many guys at wide receiver that seems to be failing at this point that it's like, well, what else can these guys do to get Ron Rivera to help with building their confidence? It's sad to see De'Ami Brown in the state that he's in. It really is. You know, and I think a lot of that is due to his lack of confidence. He saw Washington draft another wide receiver right after they drafted him last year. So it's almost like they didn't even give him an opportunity to get bacon and stuff like that to become something else. But like I said, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it is a game of where if you don't do your job, there's somebody being drafted to take your job. And look at Antonio Gibson. He's going through that very thing. But again, to me, that goes to the level of poor development. You know, like, I mean, what do they have to do to get the most out of these guys when they're developing them? So I just feel that and I don't think this is a Drew Terrell thing. I think Drew Terrell does everything he can to get these guys in position to be good. But I also think that Ron doesn't help because he's not finding ways to help these guys to bake a little bit better. So, like I said, I mean, to me, it seems like they would rather draft guys that are already ready to come into the league and play, or they look at the guy's absolute potential versus looking at, you know, hey, let's let this guy, you know, come up a little bit. But again, like I said, I mean, in a league where your replacement is drafted every year, I get it, but I mean, we're seeing a succession of failed receivers who were brought in after Ron and who seem to be all falling off as they go on. So I don't know where to go. I just think that it's sad to see De'Ami Brown struggle in this game, but we'll definitely see, especially with him playing with Sam Howell, who's his former college quarterback. So that was a sad thing to see. Jeremy Reeves did a very good job. He did submit himself, being able to stay on the team. DeJuan Neal played himself off the team. I mean, he got baked for 3 big plays in this game, and I think he was baked on the 4th one, which was the run by Anthony Brown Jr. To the corner of the end zone. So DeJuan Neal, he's pretty much played himself off the team. It's no getting around that, people. I mean, we saw what happened in this game. He can't go into the season on this team playing like that. It just can't happen, and because of that, he's not going to be on this team. A surprise to see Wes Martin back out there. That was a good thing. Again, I'm surprised that he was there because he was one of the guys that they released, and the fact that they brought him back, I'm actually shocked at that. But it must be something, or they just needed the camp bodies. I don't know, but it must be something there that they brought him back. But we'll definitely see in the upcoming weeks. Well, actually this week. We will see what will actually happen when they start making their final cuts to get to the 53-man roster. But other than that, pretty much what we thought we was going to see. We was going to see Sam Howell the whole game. He did a great job. We did see a lot of guys actually play. But to be honest, we pretty much see that without a shadow of a doubt, there are a lot of guys that's not making this team. Just almost everybody that we pretty much saw in this final preseason game, it would shock me if one of them stayed around. I still do like Steven Parker. It does seem like teams have noticed him and they try their best to throw away from him, and that's why I think we haven't seen many plays out of him. But you know, between him and Jeremy Reeves, I don't know. Jeremy Reeves might actually make the team. So we'll definitely see what happens. But like I said, y'all, I mean, we knew this was going to be the type of preseason game we were going to see. This is not a surprise. It's not a shock or anything of that such nature. Again, I'm starting to see that Ron's development, Ron's picking of wide receivers is starting to pay tolls on guys that he's drafted before, and they're not panning out. You're talking about, again, Kelvin Harmon was drafted before Ron got here. McLaurin drafted before Ron got here. Steven Sims Jr. drafted before Ron got here. Cam Sims drafted before Ron got here. 2 of the 4 are still on the team. And guys that he's drafted afterwards, Antonio Gandy Golden, no longer in the team. In fact, no longer in the league, felt the need to retire. And then you go to De'Ami Brown. He's not even looking that good. And they drafted him last year. So we'll see. We'll see how this season goes. I will be back this week. Early next week. My season prediction show, my coach evaluation show, and then I'll be closing out with letting y'all know what happens prior to the season. So next week, be ready for a full slate of shows from me. So we're going to see in the preseason. Baltimore actually extends their winning streak. Washington loses in the preseason 17-15 to the Baltimore Ravens. 23 in a row. Again, fantastic. We've lost all 3 preseason games, and we will see what this team does in the season. But I'll have my season prediction show, coach's evaluation show, and a few other shows as I go along. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.